Okay, so wrapping up another week here. I'm in Chicago. Spent, you can see the skyline there in the background. I'm just down by Lake Michigan here in Chicago, having spent a couple of days in New York beginning of the week, and then to Boston for a few days, meeting with some clients and also a prospective partner. So great conversations, and then came down here to Chicago, over to Chicago, should I say, for some prospect and client meetings, and yeah, great progress. So let's take a look at the week that was. So one of the areas that we've been thinking a lot about an asset class in recent months is the whole fund administration space. Whilst we have fund administration capabilities in the platform for things like capital call management, waterfall management, distributions management, etc., in about 70% of cases we're working with the fund administrator. And so I think that there's a lot of opportunity to streamline that process, the exchange of information, the exchange of documents, the whole subscription management process. We're doing a lot there to try and streamline that process, and had a great meeting this week with arguably one of the world's largest fund administrators, and I think there's some real potential there. So excited to see that develop over the course of the coming weeks and months. If you are working with the fund administrator and want to streamline that process, the fund admin community really respond well to the asset class platform. We give them neatly packaged subscription documents and information. We streamline the sharing of information, status updates, etc. So we take people away from those repetitive root tasks and allow them to concentrate on more higher value activity. So more on that as that develops. So one of the areas that I've been taking a look at this week, talking to some clients in the sector and also some service providers to the family office sector. It's clear there's a lot of opportunity there. Family offices have always been, certainly more recently, been active in the alternative space and becoming even more active. I think part of the challenge with the family office is having the infrastructure to support their ambitions to participate in alternatives, many of them going direct. I think that's challenging. We're seeing more of the emergence of service providers to the space, aggregating that family office, I guess the management of family offices, and providing value by way of kind of unit economics to that family office, while also maintaining that kind of white glove treatment. So it'll be interesting to see what developments we see in that space, but certainly an uptick in our market. If you do operate a family office or work in that space, I'd love to talk to you. There's a lot that we're doing. I'd be happy to share that with you. And definitely reading some more positive press this week. I think, the market vacillates from one week to the next in terms of how the market is going to rebound, particularly in private equity and venture capital. Read an interesting E&Y report during the week, surveying about 280 or so clients. I'll actually add that to the comments. It's an interesting report. It's quite lengthy, about 50 pages or so, but it does a good job of kind of giving a summary and an interesting picture emerging there. I think there's because of the nature of private equity and venture capital, for that matter, being more long-term patient capital, there's some interesting observations there that the report highlights from the interviews across those companies. And I think the short-term, let's say, jitters are starting to work their way out. Certainly seeing it in the conversations that we're having in the market. And as I mentioned in previous blog updates, a marked uptick in the number of companies that are fundraising. So it'll be interesting to just watch that space, see how that develops. Yeah, link to the report in the comments. The other development, just in Boston and in Chicago over the last week or so, I've been asking our clients and people we've been having meetings with about the outlook for their respective cities, and yeah, definitely a marked Similarity to the story in New York, lots of corporate offices, many of these I'm sure offices that are being left unoccupied or maybe 10-15% capacity. Definitely a looming challenge there for those in the CRE sector. But then also saw BlackRock announced during the week a very significant fund focused on buying into distressed commercial real estate property. So that's a story that's still to play out, but interesting nonetheless. There's clearly a challenge there. You can't run a commercial real estate portfolio in the office sector, at least, with those kind of occupancy rates, and almost half of the leases in that sector coming up for renewal in the next couple of years. So that's going to be a really significant challenge, and really no different across the three cities that I've been in over the course of the last couple of weeks: New York, Boston, Chicago. Certainly on the East Coast, we've read enough about what's happening on the West Coast of the San Francisco market, but clearly the East Coast catching the chill on it as well. So we'll watch that space. Also this past week we had our Throwback Thursday, which is our all hands get together. So the second Thursday of every month we get together, review the past months and look forward to the coming months. So lots of ground covered there. We announced two new hires, one of which I can share here, which Brooke Nunes, who joins us as the Regional Vice President for Sales for the California region, the West Coast. So delighted to welcome Brooke to the team. Had the pleasure of working with Brooke for a number of years in a prior life, and super excited to have her on board. I think she'll be great. Hopefully everybody on the West Coast, you'll have an opportunity to meet Brooke over the coming weeks and months. And our second RVP, who will join us for Central Region, just finalizing the details there, so I hope to be able to announce that in the next update. But great to see the team growing, and it was great to share the progress of the last quarter with the team. Definitely a challenging quarter, but progress nonetheless. New logos, new wins, and some great clients coming on board. So that's the best you can hope for in a market like this, and more to come as we continue into Q2 here a couple of weeks in. Yeah, the other comment I'd make, just in terms of observations over the last couple of weeks, is that there's certainly still a significant allocation to alts, the portfolio, with the portfolio managers I've been talking to. In some cases, actually a marked swing more into alts. I guess there is that, as I mentioned earlier, that dislocation in the market that people are taking advantage of. So certainly very hopeful that this short-termist pause that we're seeing. I think Q1 was challenging for lots of companies. We actually had a very strong first part of the year here. We'll grow the business about 25% in that little over the first quarter. So great to see that, great to be able to report that, and hopeful that the market will continue to respond well, and that we'll see these opportunities for not just new fund managers, but existing funds to get their arms around their portfolios, to settle things down a little bit, get a little bit more clarity around their investment strategy, and certainly for a few more deals to start to pick up. For those that are raising capital, I'm sure it's a challenging time, but still seeing those deals being done. And I think the general story from a number of the VCs I've been chatting to recently is that those multiples for the A+ rated investments are still maintaining and still pretty strong, relative to some of the other market write-downs that we've read about in the trade press, etc. So, well, that's it from sunny Chicago. Slightly overcast, but actually quite a warm day here. Thanks to everybody who checks in on these. I know I actually get some great feedback on the DMs. Hopefully you find them useful, and have a great week.